You're listening to Siris Says podcast. Join us as we transcend cultural barriers and elevate diverse voices. Here, we inspire, inform, and empower one story at a time. Let's dive in. Welcome to Siris Says. Today's episode, number one, I'm going to be talking about who am I, the host, as well as what can you expect for the future episodes. You see, I started this journey because I was in corporate America and it just didn't feel fulfilling enough for me. It wasn't really what I was meant to do. I've always had a passion for videography, wanting to public speak, and as well as create a community that it's impactful and that makes people more connected and don't feel as alone. I feel like there's an epidemic of people feeling alone, lonely. As much as self-care is that you want to read and make yourself important, I think we are all important. The question is, what's missing? And I feel like the biggest thing that we're missing is that connectivity. So I want to start with a little bit of background of who I am and where I want this podcast to be headed to. My name is Siris. I'm an immigrant. I'm a dreamer and someone navigating my own American dream. And I came here at the age of 14. I came with my mom in pursuit of a better life. I was born in Venezuela. My parents are actually immigrants. They immigrated into Venezuela themselves. So I come from a trajectory of families that are immigrants. And so with that being said, coming to the United States was definitely different because I have built half of my life there. It's a Spanish-speaking country, so it's super multicultural, and I felt like it always felt like home. But due to political reasons, we had to actually move. So I saw myself coming here in high school, pursuing my career, and got my bachelor's and got my master's here as well. And in the discovery of doing that, I was trying to keep up with corporate America. Unfortunately, I feel like it's not really what I want to do in the long term. And I wanted to connect with other people like me who are immigrant, multicultural, who have very diverse backgrounds, but as well as different topics, different things they do. And a lot of those people are my friends, which I love. I'm extremely blessed to have met a lot of these friends who are multicultural and that they have really diverse careers and different perspectives of how they see the life. And I've always loved having deep conversations. So this was like a no-brainer for me to start this. I've been wanting to start a podcast for a long time. I don't think I was brave enough back then. I didn't have the guts to do it, but now I feel like I have it. I'm approaching it everything day after day, essentially one day at a time. I want to create conversations with others that are like me and that are on similar journeys and trying to figure out what their American dream is for them. I have to say I had unique experiences outside of the USA, and I can tell you certainty that there's no other place in the world that quite welcomes you in your culture like the United States. Beauty of that is United States is made out of so many multicultural, but the beauty is like if you were to go to a different country, we know for a fact you could bring your culture, but it just stays there. Or in the United States, you find yourself finding different hubs, different towns that are named after the culture: Little Italy, Chinatown, Japantown, Koreatown. I mean, I currently live in California, and LA. It's a great place where it's a mix and a big mixture of different cultures in one city, which is beautiful. But lately, it feels like, although you would think this is what is going to unify us, it seems to be driving us apart. There's very polarized conversations out there, and I think it's like everybody's trying to pick a side, when in reality, sometimes you cannot just pick a side. I think it's like we should be welcoming debates and understanding of let's try to lean on the things that makes us unify us rather than separate us. There's many topics among that. Obviously, immigration is huge in the United States, which it's crazy how polarized it gets. But I have to say, we are so much better off than a lot of places in the world in the fact that we're still very welcoming. And although some of us feel like it doesn't feel that way, because I feel like a lot of us are very privileged and we come with that mindset.
and we do not have perspective, especially people that have never traveled outside the United States. That's okay if you don't want to travel outside the United States, but traveling outside the United States does give you perspective on how good you have it here, for real. So yeah, this podcast is going to be, in the beginning of the podcast, is going to be with my close friends who are very multicultural, diverse. And I want you guys to know that this podcast is really going to be about exploring topics that inspire curiosity, openness, and focus on authentic connections. Because at the end of the day, I feel like the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your relationship, quoting Esther Perel, who says that. She's a very renowned psychologist out there. I love love, and she talks about love and relationships, and I think relationships are truly at the heart of what makes life experience much more richer than what it already is. So with that being said, my goal for this podcast is to uplift and connect and to create a space where we can talk about our authentic life for each person, and with no judgment, no finger pointing, just honest stories and real conversation. Potentially things you guys can implement in your own life from all these inspiring guests that talk.
Today's episode is sponsored by renovatemagichub.com, your guide to transforming your home. Whether you're updating a room or planning a full makeover, Renovate Magic Hub provides tailored product suggestions to suit your style and budget. Visit renovatemagichub.com for inspiring and practical tips to create a space you'll love.
Another reason I wanted to start this podcast too was because I wanted to find people like me, and to be quite frankly, there's just not a lot of podcasts out there that are talking about multicultural. Some that focus on like American versus a specific race. But in my case scenario, I didn't want to just focus on race. Immigrants comes in all types, shapes, and forms. So I feel like this was a podcast that I was excited to showcase people from different backgrounds, and even people that I wanted to get perspective that actually were born here. They're not immigrants. The struggles they've been through, or perhaps the successes they've had, and how that perhaps can help you. So keep an open heart, I like to say. And yeah, feel free to sit with us every week, listening to this amazing guest, and hopefully you guys take something out of each episode. As Siris Says, once again, at the heart of it all, it is with humility that I say that I am just starting. So I don't expect me to be perfect, because I'm definitely not perfect. I'm trying to do the best. I'm a 1 out of 1, so I'm editing my videos. I'm going to be posting them, creating them, host. So it's quite of a lot for me, but I'm welcoming with open arms the challenge. And sometimes stepping out of your comfort zone is just not something that comes to you naturally. It's something that takes a lot of effort every day. So I'm welcoming the challenge. Why not? I also wanted to mention that I am going to be having some guests in Spanish. Since I speak Spanish, I connect in a very different way with my Spanish fellow speaking friends and acquaintances. So I definitely would like to make use of my Spanish and connect in that way with that community, which is very close to my home. So yeah.
Thanks for listening to Siris Says. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and drop a like. Share your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned for more inspiring stories. Until next time, keep chasing those dreams.